Alright, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 most broken weapons in PUBG. So these are some ones in the game that have some sort of weird attribute or a statistic that doesn't correlate with the rest that ends up being really good. Maybe they're not some of the most popular weapons, but they will definitely give you a reason to use them once you know these. This may end up changing your perspective on some guns that you used to write off as just being not very good, and you may have a reason to give these another try. So if you guys end up enjoying the video today, please give it a thumbs up. That would be incredible. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, and also stick around to the end for some very important information about Vikendi Remastered. I don't want to go into it here because it's not the point of today's video, but for those of you who want to know more about Vikendi Remastered or what's going on with it, stick around till near the end where we'll be discussing it further. But with that being said, guys, let's take a look at this list. Alright, coming in at number 10 is the VSS. Now, this should be no surprise that this is one of the more unique guns in the game, to say the least, but over the past few months, this weapon has been changed multiple times without our knowledge, and the only way you would know is if you go in and test it. Combined with the cheek pad, this weapon is now a very good choice for somewhat close range to medium range combat. It's not even best to use as a sniper rifle anymore, and to be honest, I don't see anybody using it as such, but because it's very easy to spray and it comes with its own scope, this is a clear-cut choice for medium range situations. The best part is, even if you happen to miss a complete spray and your enemy doesn't still know where you are, you're likely going to be able to get another spray off before they even find you. The crucial thing that you need to keep in mind here is that the cheek pad is necessary, otherwise the horizontal recoil becomes a little bit too much and unpredictable. The second most important attachment is, of course, the extended mag, effectively doubling your ammo capacity in this, which is more than it can say for a lot of the guns in this game. And so while it's not as important as the cheek pad in my opinion, if you are going to be spraying it, those two in combination make for the most dangerous duo. Alright, moving on and coming in at the number 9 spot. This choice may surprise you a little bit, but it's something that I've really grown a lot of respect for this gun. This is the QBZ. Recently, I've been opting to run the QBZ over the M416 when it comes to Sanhok. The reason for that being is this is basically the poor man's AUG right now. As much as I love the AUG, the QBZ matches it in almost every way. The only thing the AUG is going to, of course, beat out is in fire rate, but when it comes to body impact power, which is how hard your bullets are going to be hitting, as well as the damage per bullet, they are identical. And after some serious playtime with the QBZ, one thing I definitely notice is that if you can land the first bullet in a gunfight, you are much more likely to win that, as your opponent's aim shake is going to be much more severe than, say, if you're using like an M4. The reason this is important to consider is the QBZ may help you win more gunfights you would have otherwise lost with a gun that doesn't quite hit as hard. I've noticed if you're able to knock your opponent's aim even just a little bit, that can mean taking the gunfight. With how good everyone's gun skill is now, the slightest inconvenience to throw that off might end up winning you. So I really think the QBZ right now is a very good call. I recommend you jump into game and try it out, and let me know what you think about it. If you haven't been playing the gun so much, give it another go. Okay, coming in today at the number 8 spot is the MP5, and we made a video a couple of months ago comparing the stats between the MP5 and the Vector, which it's most commonly similar to. And since then, the MP5 has actually been added to Kraken, making it an option and a very viable one at that. And I think in every way, the MP5 is the superior weapon to the Vector, not only as far as its statistics, but in terms of practical use. The gun is not only easier to control, it's arguably just as easy to find attachments for. You don't necessarily need an extended mag, although it does help on the MP5 where it's absolutely crucial on the Vector. I just think the MP5 is probably one of the best guns in the game, if not one of the most broken ones at the moment. Go give it a try on Kraken, where it's arguably going to be one of the most effective weapons on that battlefield, and see if you can tell any difference between that and the Vector. Moving on though, and coming in at the number 7 spot, guys, we have the SLR. Have you guys noticed that as of recently, the SKS has not been really getting that much playtime? Like, people still use it, but in terms of like the more popular DMR, the clear-cut choice is now the SLR. You ever wonder why that is? I think it's due to the fact the SLR just simply has better damage statistics and, you know, a better usefulness overall. The SKS, I think, kitted out is easier to use, but since I think we've gotten to a point where everyone is so good with this weapon that you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you're choosing the SKS over the SLR. You're losing out on damage you could have. You're even losing out on the ability to fast fire the SLR, which with enough practice, virtually anyone can do. As long as you have a cheek pad and compensator, in my opinion, it's just as effective, if not more, than running the SKS. Oddly enough, these DMRs have gotten themselves into what I would call an M24 Kar 98 situation, where at the time, the M24 was just literally the better choice, and that sort of seems to be what's happening with these two DMRs, and maybe we'll see a change because of this, maybe not. Overall, though, I'm going to keep recommending the SLR to you, as it just seems to be the more broken option in a very good way. Coming today at our number 6 spot is the Win 94. Now, of course, we all know this gun has underwent some major changes. The addition of the scope has fundamentally turned it around from being like a crap weapon to absolutely top tier. But one of the things I believe is throwing a lot of people off about the weapon is that the bullet travel speed isn't really anything to brag about, and the 45 ACP ammo type tends to travel a little bit slower than most weapons. A lot of people try to use this as a DMR replacement, but if you're trying to like get the same effect as something like a Mini 14 just with the power of something more closer to like a K9, I don't think you're going to be able to find it in the Winchester, although it does seem to be a good replacement for a bolt action if you can't find one. In my eyes, the Win 94 pairs very nicely with SMGs. I wouldn't really, combine it with ARs or even snipers for that matter, but it does go very well with most SMGs. The damage and body impact power on this gun are quite surprising, so if you do get hit by it, you're going to know exactly what you're up against. Moving on, and taking the number 5 spot on this list is actually going to be the Tommy gun. There's two important things to keep in mind if you're going to be running the Tommy. First of all is that it's very solid at shredding through level 3 armor. SMGs, just for the most part, are pretty good at getting through tough armor right now in the current build of PUBG, but also I noticed that the Tommy gun has one of the better hip fire spreads when you're using the aim mechanic compared to most SMGs. This is of course without the laser sight, which cannot be applied to the Tommy gun, but considering most people don't take them anyways, if you're going to be hip firing an SMG, the Tommy gun is one I would actually recommend. Obviously, the downside to running this is it's not very versatile. You can't put a sight on it, so it's not anything like an SMG or an AR replacement for that matter, but they can pair really well with an AR, oddly enough. I'm not here to argue the Tommy gun is maybe one of the best guns in the current meta, but I will say that there are some attributes that you can certainly take advantage of given the fact that you know them. Moving on though, guys, and coming in at the number 4 spot is the DBS. So this gun has quite a lot going on with it. Clearly, this has the most range of any shotgun within its class, and for good reason, but one of the things that isn't mentioned, the DBS is the king of inconsistency. Either you can beam someone at 50 meters away, maybe they were low HP or something, but you can also tag someone with level 3 armor more than a couple of times, and it will hardly do any damage at all. Speaking of broken, with the DBS, there was a weird glitch where if you fired it quick enough, the 2 shots, like you would do this weird teleport animation, and you would be somewhere where you're obviously not, and that's been fixed as far as I know. But let's just say at the end of the day, even despite the DBS's crazy range and the amount of shots you can just put into that weapon, that there's more than just a couple of things that could be considered broken or just a strange attribute about this weapon. All right, but moving on here, and coming in at our number 3 spot is actually going to be the Deagle. Now this has a couple of unique features about it. Not only is it just simply better than the R45 in terms of damage, and I would even argue its overall effectiveness, but this benefits greatly from the laser sight, like more than most pistols. Your options with the Deagle are of course to ADS, you can use your aim feature, and you can even just hip fire with no aim whatsoever, but I think that with the laser sight addition, and if you use the aim mechanic, potentially it's just as good as ADSing. Now you can argue about the Deagle's effectiveness in terms of compared to the meta and what people are going to be overall using, and when you stack it up to things like ARs and SMGs, which are the most popular weapons, maybe it isn't the shining star of the bunch, but I also think there's no reason not to hold a Deagle. I tend to do that when I'm playing, just keep one magazine in it and go from there. It's also pretty much the only weapon that I feel the laser sight is worth it on, because you may as well not put it on your AR or your main weapon. If you find one, put it on your Deagle. So coming in at our number 2 spot, guys, is the M16. Now, if we're being honest with ourselves, this is not the first time the M16 has been broken in PUBG's history, but while it certainly is not what it used to be, the M16 still remains the only 5.56 AR in the game that can one-shot someone without a helmet. Because it still remains with that slightly higher damage, if you're able to burst fire this well enough, considering you have the stock on it, this theoretically should be more effective than the M416. And while that sounds all well and good on paper and with statistics, it's not as quite practical as I'm making it out to seem, but never underestimate how insane the M16 can be in the hands of a skilled player or somebody who has a lot of practice with the M16. If you're overconfident against your enemy with this, the M16 will often take you by surprise. But finally, guys, coming in today at the number 1 spot, arguably the most broken gun in PUBG right now, broken as it's just unbelievably insane, is the M249. Now, sometimes I'll see people land the M249 in a crate and they have like an M416 and they don't take it, and I'm always baffled as to to why. The M249 just has simply more damage per bullet. Its overall time to kill and effectiveness, I think, beat out both the M416 and the AUG, and there's literally no reason to skip on this gun in my opinion anymore. I think some people believe that when the 5.56 ARs got nerfed, that so did the M249, but it actually didn't, and remains like one of the most unaltered guns in the game in general, and I still think is probably, if not one of the best guns in the entire game, only maybe behind the Mark 14. Not to mention, it's compatible with almost every scope and is the absolute antithesis to vehicles, just literally shredding even BRDMs in solo games. And so the M249 has a lot of broken attributes for it, and I think it still remains one of the best guns ever. This was my take on the most broken list of PUBG weapons, but I'd love to know, in your opinion, what do you believe is the most broken gun in this entire game? Either broken for a good reason or broken for a bad reason. Now, what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you guys are going to be able to see some exclusive Vikendi remastered gameplay here on this channel at about Thursday 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's about 2 a.m. for me on Friday. So it's going to be a little bit late in the night for some of you, but that's going to be the first time you're going to be able to see Vikendi remastered gameplay here on YouTube. It will be live streamed here, so make sure to subscribe and stick around and tune in on Thursday 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to watch Vikendi remastered gameplay here. So I'll see you guys over there for the stream, and I'll also update you guys on exactly what the new patch is bringing. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to give it a like rating, subscribe if you're brand new, and I'll see you all on the next live stream or the next video. Also, make sure to go follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. That's where I'm going to be live streaming every day aside from the Vikendi remastered release, but we'll be streaming that on Twitch also. But anyways, once again, thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next stream or the next video. Take it easy, everyone, and peace out.